This episode of the WP Builds podcast is brought to you by GoDaddy Pro, the home of managed WordPress hosting that includes free domain, SSL, and 24/7 support. Bundle that with the Hub by GoDaddy Pro to unlock more free benefits to manage multiple sites in one place, invoice clients, and get 30% off new purchases. Find out more at go.me/WP Builds. And by Bluehost. Redefine your web hosting experience with Bluehost Cloud. Managed WordPress hosting that comes with lightning-fast websites, 100% network uptime, and 24/7 priority support. With Bluehost Cloud, the possibilities are out of this world. Experience it today at bluehost.com/cloud. And by Omnisend. Do you sell your stuff online? Then meet Omnisend. Yes, that Omnisend. The email and SMS tool that helps you make $73 for every dollar spent. The one that's so good, it's almost boring. Hate the excitement of roller coaster sales? Prefer a steady line going up? Try Omnisend today at omnisend.com. Hello there and welcome to this, the 6th edition of the Accessibility Show. I'm joined, as I always am, by Joe Dolson, who's over there. Hello, Joe.
Hello. I'm really glad to be here again.
Yeah, thank you. This is a subject which is kind of close to my heart, but I don't really have a great deal of expertise. Well, honestly, I'll be honest, I don't have any expertise. And so it's very nice having Joe on the show. Not only is he a thoroughly nice person, we talk for quite a long time before we hit record. And I think it's fair to say that you and I see eye to eye on quite a lot of things, which is really nice. But yeah, his area of expertise is accessibility, but don't take my word for it. Let's let Joe explain to us what it is that he does. Give us your bio, Joe.
Well, so I am a website accessibility consultant. I work with companies, nonprofit organizations, individuals to help them make their websites usable by people with disabilities. An awful lot of that is me telling them what they've done wrong, which can sometimes be a difficult experience. But the reality is it's all about serving the user and making the website better for everybody. In the WordPress space, I'm a core committer for WordPress, and I do a lot of work on trying to improve the user interfaces inside WordPress to increase the accessibility for every user.
That's absolutely fabulous. On the screen, if you can see it, is Joe Dolson's website. It's, as you might imagine, joedolson.com. It's DOLSON, joedolson.com. If you go there, you won't only find Joe's accessibility credentials. He has a calendar plugin as well, which you may like to go and look at. It's called My Calendar and My Calendar Pro, if I remember correctly.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Okay, so if you're in the market for a calendar, go and check that out as well. Little plug. Okay, so the endeavor of this show is to go through and try and find a variety of websites, usually from the WordPress showcase, and then we pop those on the screen, and then Joe has a look. And we just want to say always at the beginning of this show, the intention here is never to kind of like point the finger and be all kind of judgmental, but some websites have to be put on the screen. And so we picked WordPress ones from the showcase, or Joe did. And so if you've been in any way, shape or form involved in the project, please don't take this as an assault or anything like that. It's just meant to be in the spirit in which it is delivered. You know, we're just showing what might be, and obviously Joe's got a lot of expertise in this area. And so with that, shall I put the screen on and we'll have a look at the first one?
Go for it. Let's just get right into it.
Okay.
So today I'm going to kind of take a look at restaurant websites. In most of these, I've taken a look at like one very narrow feature. And in this case, I'm being a little bit broader. It's more about the user journey of how people get into a website for a restaurant and what they're going to figure out, what they want to find. And I usually break that down to 3 things, because in reality, the user journey for a restaurant is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
They want to know where this restaurant is, when it's open, and what it serves.
Right.
So those things in mind, we're just going to kind of take a look at these websites, these WordPress showcase sites, and see how are they presenting this information and what are they doing, and how might that impact a user with disabilities in terms of being able to figure out whether this is a place for them.
Okay.
So the first one I'm looking at here is this place called Schoolhouse Tyrol. Now, the first question I have here is basically, okay, how do I find the menu? Where is it? And, tabbing through, there is some focus here. And one thing I notice here is that these images are all linked. So I'm going to kind of guess that Essen und Trinken is going to link to the food. However, I do note that the actual text is not a link. And so I'm going to kind of take a look at this image and see if it has any useful alternative text, which I see it does not. It has no alternative text. So it's like for a screen reader user, what this is there's text, Essen und Trinken, and there's an image that has no alternative. Hopefully that goes to the menu, but it's going to be a tricky one for somebody to find.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and click through, and now we'll see what we've got. All right, so this is complicated, a lot of images, it's big. I feel like the canned food is a kind of a strange presentation for restaurants, but
Yeah, there you go.
No comments there.
No.
And so I'm just going to kind of scroll through, and I'm going to like, okay, what am I finding here? Okay, so we've got these sections here. There are Handwerk, fish, regional, Vine. Those, to me, that seems like it must be some kind of menu thing. So they are animated. They go away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say right off, I do have prefers reduced motion turned on. So this animation is not respecting that, which is no real surprise. But what I'm also noting is that there are no links here. There's nothing to click on. This is not the menu. So I haven't found that yet. These seem to all be the same thing, so I'm going to just go ahead and move on. I'm now well below the fold, but here's something. Okay, I found a link for wine. That's presumably the wine list. Helpful, not what I'm looking for. Keeping going. Okay, more links. Oh, hey, there it is. Buried in the middle of the page, well down below the scroll, after many, many images, I find a small text link that says download the menu.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, while this is available, somebody can find it, the path to get here was definitely unfriendly. I mean, you first had to click on a link that was only an image and had no text, so screen reader users having some trouble. And then this other link, while if you're using a screen reader and you are tabbing, you'd actually probably find it pretty quickly because there's very little on this page that's linked.
Mm-hmm.
If you're actually scrolling through as a sighted user trying to find it, it's very easy to miss. When I was previewing this before this, I actually scrolled right past it twice before I finally found it because I was looking quickly.
Yeah.
Which is, in all honesty, something people do a lot with restaurants. They're trying to get this information quickly. Now, of course, there's the menu itself. Now, obviously, this is a PDF download.
Interesting.
We all know that PDF downloads are, at their best, a poor experience from accessibility and usability. I do know why a lot of organizations do that, and it's obviously because it's easy for them to maintain without having to actually change things much on the website. Just upload a new version. There you go. It's done. I do feel like, this is a showcase website. This is a fancy website. It's kind of surprising to me that they couldn't put enough work into it to be like, okay, now we have an editable menu.
An actual menu with.
I'm not going to look at these menus themselves because, in all honesty, this isn't about PDF accessibility, and I don't want to download a bunch of PDFs for restaurants I'm unlikely to go to.
No. Could I just derail this just for a moment?
Absolutely.
If I was to be on my desktop computer, the downloading process is much more straightforward to me because, in my case, I set the browser to ask me where I want it to go. But were I to visit the site on a mobile phone, how is the whole download and retrieve document? So nothing to do with PDFs, but just document. Do iOS,
it's highly
Android?
Variable.
Yeah, really.
I mean,
because I can never find the things I've downloaded.
And it so much depends on like which apps you have installed,
right.
And what type of device you're on. Some devices will just download them to kind of a general folder and not even really notify you anything's happened. I know on my phone, for example, if I download a PDF, it just kind of does it invisibly in the background. And I frequently don't realize anything has happened. So I download again. And at
And then you get
that point,
two.
it
Yeah,
gives me a
yeah.
prompt that tells me, would you like to download this again? And a link to the file.
Right.
If I click on that link to the file, it will open it. And I am, in all honesty, I've never looked because I'm lazy. I'm not, in fact, entirely certain whether I have downloaded it a second time or whether that link is to the original one I downloaded.
Yeah.
What it does do, however, is it enables me to get to the file.
A complete aside, and I'm sorry about that, but it just struck me that mobile OSs and downloading things is fraught with drama. I mean, it's fraught with
It is,
drama
yeah.
for me, but I'm imagining if you are, I don't know, struggling to navigate the file system and the notifications is all you've got, that's tricky because that whole file system is hidden. Anyway, apologies. That was
No,
completely
I mean,
an
I think
aside.
it is a good observation because the simple fact is this is kind of, it's a death by 1,000 paper cuts kind of scenario.
Right. And I was wondering if the
Every
moment,
single step that's a little bit harder,
yeah, yeah,
another change of context, it
yeah.
just makes things a little bit worse.
So the mere fact that it's download a PDF might be all that it takes to just for somebody.
On a lot of people, it's like, oh, it's a PDF. I'm just
That's
not
it. I'm
going to
out of here.
bother.
Yeah, yeah.
Either, maybe they're just stuck going to this restaurant, so they're going anyway, but they're gonna just have to figure it out when they get there. And I will say one thing about menus, especially for people who are blind and using a screen reader, is there's a huge amount of value to having that digital copy. Because when you get to the restaurant, what is the likelihood that they have a Braille copy of their menu? Are you going to have somebody read it to you and then you have to pick? I mean, that's a tedious process. You can't be independent. You can't just go through things. People might skip over things because they're like, oh, I don't think he's going to like that.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
I absolutely, if I'm going out to dinner with my partner and, she's driving and I'm trying to tell her what's on the menu, I will absolutely skip things I don't think she will like because it's just more efficient.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
just, you don't have time.
Yeah.
So I think these are all things that kind of can reduce independence and they can make things worse. So I think all of these are important.
Okay. So anything else on Schoolhouse?
Well, I mean, the one thing I notice here is it's like I haven't really seen anything on here that makes it obvious like where the restaurant is. I can go to their hours here, Öffnungszeiten and Hope. And this does actually tell me it's in Austria. So it gives me an address. So I found it. It was a little bit buried. I kind of feel like location is something that it's nice to have right up front at the top, but
Yeah.
it's findable. It's not uncommon that those sorts of things are under like a contact link or under opening times. Oh, those are the same page. They just have different links.
Okay.
I see.
My sort of intuition with this is that you'd be the restaurant's purpose really is to get the telephone ringing. The website's purpose is to get the telephone ringing, making reservations, or at least making contact in some way. So you would imagine that the menu would be linked somewhere in the main menu navigation structure right at the top, as would the telephone number. Yeah.
This site doesn't really have a
main
navigation.
No, it really doesn't, does it?
Really, it has these links at the top that are not obviously links. They don't have any hover state. They don't really look like links. So they're all there. It's just, they've gone more for design and less for user friendliness, which, different restaurants have different needs. I don't know anything about this restaurant. If it's a high profile, high end restaurant that if you know about it and you know about it, maybe they don't need to get people in the door.
Yeah.
But I'm inclined to think that, right now in the way the world currently operates, restaurants have been struggling a lot. A lot of restaurants are going out of business. So maybe that should be more of a concern. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not going to judge them on the basis of their business needs. I'm just going to say that as an experience, this is difficult.
Indeed. And
now I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next one.
Okay. The next one is called, now let me get this correct. It's Lamana Bakery.
Yeah, I would say Lamana. I don't actually know, but They certainly have embraced a large text.
Oh boy, that is profoundly big. That's the
Um,
word big is really big.
yes. So, of course, this one, to me, the biggest thing about this is
Animation.
the animations. They're really intense. They're really distracting. They're really huge. I mean, it's got a little bit of all of that.
It's almost like
Just
a
scrolling
Monty
through
Python
slowly.
sketch, isn't it? It's
It,
yeah.
it really is. So it's just kind of overwhelming.
Yeah.
There is eventually a button down here that says menu. Here
Where's
it
the
is.
button? Oh, that's the button, is it? That
Yeah, it's the
rotating star.
spinning,
Okay.
rotating star thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, this one to me it's just like, it's so overwhelming. It's painting an experience, and it's a lot. Now,
That
as
is it.
far as what this actually is, if I inspect it, it's a link. It opens in a new tab. It doesn't disclose that at all, so that's not great. But on the other hand, I might be eager to get away from this page. So, um, so it's straight up. It's a link. It could be worse, but like, I'm now navigating using the keyboard, and it's tricky to do. Like, here I am at the top. You can see the shop merch.
Mm-hmm.
Then it goes to the logo. These are reasonable. Order online. Now it just jumps.
Wow. Straight to
And
the.
now I can't see what I'm focusing on. Like, what am I focused on right now? I have absolutely no idea. Can't really tell. I've just gotten to this slider, I guess. But I don't
Yeah.
know what I was focused on before it. Like, it's very unclear. I'm probably focused now on view menu. Just guessing. Don't really know. Let's find out. Yes, indeed I was.
Okay.
Now, conveniently, they're actually using an external service for their menu, which, given how overwhelming their actual website is, I kind of see as a benefit. So this is actually pretty straightforward. I can just kind of load sections, tab through things, and build things and whatnot. I haven't reviewed this in detail. This is not a WordPress website. This is some external
SaaS,
service.
it's like a SaaS app, isn't it? Which you would
Ambassador.ai
hope.
or something.
Yeah, you would hope it would be
So it's kind of,
optimized.
you would hope. I would doubt it. Let's see what Wave says.
Okay. Yeah.
It doesn't report any errors, but a lot of low contrast. Oh, I see. It's that red. It's a somewhat nominal contrast thing, but it is below. At any rate, the actual experience there of the menu, it could be a lot worse. But the experience of the website is likely to kind of just be so incredibly distracting that it's going to throw people off. Now, of course, I'm wondering, like, so where is this restaurant? There's no menu here. So the first things here are shop and order. So scrolling, it's in Toronto. That's way, way down at the bottom. And because this is such an intense website, personally, I would hesitate to scroll that far. But
yeah.
it is there. Now, whether it's open or not, this is not on the website anywhere, not directly. There's nothing about hours at all. If you go to the menu, which is actually what all of these order online things go to as well, you can find that. It's down here in the middle of their stuff. It will give you the hours. It's a kind of involved process. Oh, actually, this went to chat. Why did this go to chat?
Yeah.
I see.
Hours. Oh,
their
my
hours
goodness.
are communicated via chat.
Oh.
Okay. I mean,
what?
It's a little bit of a what? Yeah. I mean, I don't know what they're thinking there. Like, is it that hard to just put some text on your website?
I literally have never seen that.
No, I haven't either.
Such an overuse of
auto chat.
Yeah, that's insane. Okay, sorry about that. I'm overdoing it, but that is
I was not
profoundly
expecting that,
unnecessary
honestly.
experience when you could literally write the hours.
Yeah,
down
yeah.
in HTML.
So anyhow, it's a lot. This website is a lot. without the animation, I actually feel like this wouldn't be that overwhelming. It's very, very colorful. It's very ornamental, but it doesn't respect my prefers reduced animation triggers. At least I hope it doesn't respect them, because if this is what is reduced animation, then I don't want to know what it looks like otherwise.
No.
But it's just, yeah, it's overwhelming.
Okay.
That's the main thing. My comment in our prep document, for what it's worth, is, oh my eyes.
Yeah, I saw that. Oh, there's a lot to take in. Yeah. I mean, if you saw this in a magazine layout, if you were a magazine reader, a glossy magazine, I get it. But
I get the design. I think actually
exactly.
the design is reasonable. It's just that it's so overwhelming, and for whatever reason, they've obscured their hours in this complicated way.
Curious. Very, very curious. Okay, are we done with Lamana?
I think we're done with this. I mean, these are all going to go fairly quickly, because I mean, ultimately, I'm not looking at the fine details of the accessibility. I'm just kind of looking at, how does this work?
So now we're on Relais de Chambord.
Yeah, so this is actually a hotel.
Look at that.
It looks like it would probably be pretty swank place to stay.
Yeah.
And so the first thing you have to do here, obviously, is try and figure out where is the actual restaurant. Now, this might be more of a thing of interest to, people who are actually staying at it. So they already know there's a restaurant. They maybe aren't so concerned about the location because they're already there. So I'm not going to focus too much on that. But, so where is the information about hotels? I'm not getting a lot of focus visibility here. So as far as navigating by keyboard, it's a bit limited. Let's see where I am. Okay, so I'm right there. Oh, that's interesting. So I'm fairly confident that those offset lines in the corner are a menu.
They look like a menu, but it just
they
right
are
past
being
it, didn't it?
skipped. Yeah, they are. I can get to lots of other things. So let's just take a quick look at that. Yep. It's a bourguer icon. I guess that's how we spell hamburger in French coding.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, so it's just a div. There's no actual button there. So this is going to be a pretty big starting point of hard to get to, because you can't open this.
Oh, boy.
Now, within it, I already know in advance the focus change doesn't happen. So that's fine. We're going to go to dining, because dining seems the likely place to find information about restaurants.
Okay.
And indeed, restaurants and bar. So pretty straightforward. We've got these 3 links to 3 different restaurants. Again, really no visible focus here, so not getting a lot of assistance if you're a keyboard navigator. But let's go ahead and click through to one of the restaurants and see what we can learn about it. Nice. I like this.
Yeah, it's nice and uncluttered.
Hours are just right there, right at the top. This is when we're open. This is what we reserve. Here's where you go to book a table. That's very helpful. And then down below, menu. Now, in certain ways, this is very similar to what we saw on Schoolhouse Tyrol, in that it's basically a text link that's nestled in with images and paragraphs, not at the top, not prioritized in a menu or anything. But it's been offset by a significant amount of white space. It's got this surround that draws attention to it. It's going to be a lot harder to miss. This page is fundamentally uncluttered, and so you can kind of just find that link. So what is the link? Well, okay, it's another PDF.
Oh, okay.
It's yet another site that's going with the PDF route. I just find it very fascinating to look at all of these pretty high-powered restaurants and see that they're using a PDF as their fundamental basis for these.
Because a menu, like a restaurant menu, is basically a table in most cases, isn't it? It's just structured information.
Yeah, basically. There are essentially, 3 pieces of information you need to present in any given section. It's going to be, this is what we call the dish. This is kind of maybe the ingredients description. And this is the price if we choose to disclose that, which is optional.
Yeah.
If you need to ask, you can't afford it.
Right. Well, one of those. Yeah, we've all been there. Yeah, but it does. HTML web pages do lend themselves remarkably well to this kind of data presentation.
There's an awful lot of very easy ways to present a menu in HTML. I think what this ultimately comes down to is the people who are maintaining the menu are extremely separate from the people who are maintaining the website.
Yeah.
And so they kind of maybe are setting it up so that when you want to swap out the menu, it's just really easy to do.
Yeah,
that's my gut feeling about it. Because otherwise, I just don't see how this is very justified. It should be much easier to do. And every restaurant is different. Maybe this is a restaurant that changes their menu every day, so it's a lot of labor.
Yep.
But
you would imagine that it wouldn't take too many attempts at fiddling with the HTML to figure that out. And obviously, you've got to redo the PDF each time and then upload that to the website. There's
a definite a lot of these types of websites, the menu is potentially the only thing that changes regularly.
Yeah, yeah.
Like there's literally nothing else on here that's going to change for 6 months.
Yeah.
So you can easily see that they've wanted to keep that as simple as possible. It's just that it's to the detriment of users.
Okay.
At any rate, overall for this website, the website as a whole has accessibility issues. That navigation is not accessible. It hasn't got any good focus, navigation. It's using a PDF for the menu. But the basic information, things like when is it open and how do you find the menu, are at least relatively easy to get to.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So, it's got some pluses. At least from a general usability standpoint, it's an improvement on some of the other things, even if it still has all the same accessibility problems.
Okay, so that was Relais de Chambord. Now we're going to go to something more easy for me to pronounce. Timberyard.co, I believe, is the next one. Is that right? We got that.
That's the one. Yeah. Okay. Timberyard. So
no text on that screen at all, apart from the
nope. There's just the name.
Okay.
There's nothing at all. If you scroll down, it suddenly changes completely, and if you scroll back up, it doesn't restore, which is kind of interesting. It's like some kind of a thing that's just being cleared. It's very sparse information, and it kind of moves oddly. There's some kind of semi-animations in here, which might mean that it's actually respecting reduced animation, because reduced animation doesn't mean no animation. It just means less animation. It did tell me right away that it was in Edinburgh, so at least I know.
Okay, you've got the city.
I know the general information about where it is, so I know at least if I'm currently in Glasgow, it's not a place I should be looking at.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to find any information on here that doesn't just require me to continuously scroll down.
Yeah.
It's interesting that I've gotten to an extensive section on wine before I've gotten to any information at all on food.
It's really, do you know what this reminds me of? Like a car advert where they just show you the car and how sleek it is and how the interior looks great. And, here it is driving along with beautiful people in it who have a wonderful life. Do you know what I mean? It's just, they're just trying to,
they're really giving you a vibe.
Opulence.
You get a feel for it.
Right. Yeah.
Now down here at the bottom, I have found their open times just written out in text. And their address written out in text, and this one actually is linked. So if I was navigating using tab, I would have probably found it fairly quickly. Looking at the code, there are no headings here. There are 6 headings on the page. 4 of them are countries, which are all of the locations of wine, which tells me one thing, which is that they are 100% using headings for visual effect.
Right.
There is no structure to this page layout at all. The last one is kind of weird. If you can see that, it says lunch tasting drinks, list wine, list.
That is peculiar.
Which is to say, what it is it's an H1 heading. They're using line breaks to separate the words so that all of
Okay.
these things are in one heading. It's lunch, tasting, drinks list, wine list, but it's all in one heading. I didn't actually see that text, so I
No,
don't
I
actually know where that is on the
don't
page.
recall seeing that either.
Um,
But see if you can find it.
so I'm a little puzzled.
No.
Interesting. Now I have a menu at the top. That wasn't there before.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that was not there before. Okay, that's curious. Right.
But I'm not sure exactly when that appeared. One thing that I would say about this is this website to me is fundamentally very simple. There's not a lot to it. What there is, though, is a lot of over-engineering to make things fancy that is actually making it noticeably more difficult to understand.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like from the design of it that it would have been ripe for brilliant accessibility because there's
because it's so simple. There's just not a lot to it.
Right.
Right. So there's no focus states. So I'm going to turn some on so that I can see where I am. So now here we are, and there's menus. Now that, of course, is linking to something called sample menus. So this is not going to that H1 heading that I found before. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to get. That's that H1 heading.
Oh.
So that H1, it was visually hidden.
And off canvas.
So that's probably why it still showed up in the headings list, is it was visually hidden, but not actually hidden. Now, the focus hasn't moved. So I'm still up here in the upper right corner in terms of my actual focus position. So I'll see if I can find this menu. There it is. It's at the very end of the page. So I had to get through the address first, and then I got to this menu.
Okay.
It's there, though. I did get to it. And these all download PDFs.
Okay, so we're back to that old chestnut.
So it's another one that does PDFs. Now let's see if I can close this just out of curiosity. And the answer is no. I cannot focus on this close thing. But it does a close using the escape key.
Okay. Something.
So, I mean, this was kind of a mess. This website just was very difficult to navigate. I mean, it was just confusing what was going on. And like, why did this thing disappear? Why did this thing appear?
Yeah.
What is this heading that I can see? Why are all of these things in one heading with a whole bunch of links inside it? It's just sloppy code. It's definitely somebody who did not really comprehend anything about HTML semantics. Knowing what the HTML actually means is really important to communicating that to people with assistive technology.
Yeah.
That is the foundation of what assistive technology interacts with. It has to look and say, what is this code and what is it telling me about how this website works? And if you just break those rules, then everything's out the window.
Very beautiful, very nice to look at, but attractive. Very, very difficult. Okay, so, all right.
Now, because there's so little text on it, I think somebody would find things pretty easily. I should look and see whether these images have alt text.
Okay.
And one of my reasons for that is actually this will be, they're pretty decorative. And this will be a much faster thing to read through if they do not have alternative text.
So this is a scenario where the text, it's not important to have the alternative.
So this has the text timber yard.
Timber yard, sorry. Yeah.
So I will say, you can make an argument that these images should have alternative text because describing what's in it could be of value to somebody who's trying to learn more. That one also has alt text timber yard. What they are, however, using this for is kind of, I guess it would be a branding version of keyword stuffing.
Yeah.
We just want to make sure that timber yard brings up our business as opposed to, I guess, some local lumber yard. That is definitely not useful. It means that for somebody reading this in a line reading on a screen reader is going to get something like set in an authentic warehouse dating back to the 19th century when it was built as a props and costume store, timber yard, timber yard, timber yard.
Yeah, over and over again. Yeah.
Timber yard, timber yard, timber yard, blah. Oh my God, I know where I am.
Yeah, we've got it. We're at timber yard. Yeah, yeah.
It's okay. So it's possible to get the information out of this. It's not a lot of fun. This link to menus effectively does nothing for a screen reader user because you've clicked it. You don't get notified anything has happened. You don't know what's going on. You've just clicked something.
Yeah, honestly, these things look so profoundly well done, don't they? But in this very important regard.
Well, it's one of those funny things about just kind of the visual nature of what goes into so much web design.
Yeah.
It's all looks first and function and feature is sort of secondary.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next one.
Okay. This one.
You skipped one.
Oh, I did, didn't I? You're quite right. Thank you. Yeah. Fabricagroup.fr.
Yeah. So this is another French. This is actually a group of restaurants. I'm going to be pretty brief on this one. It's got very similar issues to the last one. You can see like there's no focus state. It kind of moves around unpredictably. It's got all of these images that move as you're going and are kind of unpredictable.
Oh, look at that. Gosh.
I mean, it's very unpredictable. I don't really understand what exactly is triggering some of these changes.
No.
I think it's actually, it's a hover state on these links, but these links extend all the way to the sides so that they actually trigger a little bit unpredictably.
Right. So they get triggered if you're
if you're anywhere
horizontally
horizontal
aligned.
band. Yeah. And they're a little bit much. Not something that I would enjoy. We've got this navigation menu trigger here, which is in fact a button and is labeled. So that's kind of a nice novelty. But figuring out whether you've gotten to it is a little tricky.
Yeah.
With that lack of focus state. And all it does is bring up information that is basically the same as what was on the page, because these links are the only information on the page.
Gosh. Yeah.
So, like, okay, there is a menu, but did you really need this menu? And of course, then the contrast here is pretty lousy.
Yeah, I'm actually struggling. I've got the sun is coming in.
I believe
to see that, but the sun is coming in onto my screen, and so I'm combating the sunshine, and I literally could not see those menu items when you had. I mean,
this gray is really faint. The red against black.
The red,
is
the tiny font.
That's.
I can't see any of that. I have to literally hold my hand up to prevent the sun getting in.
What is the actual? Let's see. I have all these.
Yeah, too many tools.
So,
yeah.
Too many tools.
Too many tools.
And then I have to remember which browser I'm
in. You're in Chrome by the looks of things.
Where Ask AI come from? I don't remember Ask AI. That's a new one.
Is this Brave? No.
Why am I not seeing
the...
I don't understand why I'm not seeing the accessibility inspector. Did I change something? I don't know. I'm not going to worry about that right now.
Yeah, never mind.
Regardless, the contrast is not good.
I mean, even I can tell you the contrast is not good.
Nathan is sitting there and can't see it very well.
I literally can't see it.
That's what matters.
Yeah.
So that's really all I wanted to look at with this one. It's just another website that just makes it very difficult to get to things. When you do actually click on the restaurant, you get to a similar looking page. It goes through it. You get their hours. Menu is... You want to take a wild guess what these do?
I'm going to guess it's a PDF.
Hey, guess what? You're right. It's a PDF.
Oh, no.
Yep. No. So far, we've done 5 out of 6, and 5 out of 6 download a PDF.
I'm guessing 6 out of 6. Maybe. Let's see.
Well, let's go on.
Okay. Okay, so I've got the right link now, I think. Momofuku.
Yes. The restaurant group you should definitely pronounce very carefully.
Yes, be careful. That's
so
all
this
we
one
need to say.
this is a restaurant group. It's not just a single restaurant. So I'm going to actually pick one to look at because they each have their own thing. Now, this menu is really hard to use, this navigation menu. Like, it opens things a little unpredictably. And then I don't know if you watched that carefully, but I didn't get through the whole menu and then it closed.
No.
So I don't have any idea what they think they're doing here. But so I this time it skipped reservations and went straight to restaurants. Now I'm navigating in restaurants. Noodle Bar, Bang Bar, Bar Kabawa, Kabawa, Momofuku. It closed before going to the last one on the list.
Okay.
And opened the Our Company menu. So like this is just confusing.
That is very confusing.
I don't know what's going on here. But it's very strange and definitely not something that they probably want. My guess is it's actually hard-coded triggers that they actually have a trigger that's coded when you exit Momofuku in Las Vegas here, it closes the menu, but then they added another restaurant in Los Angeles and didn't change the code. That's my guess.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, that makes sense because it was the second to last item.
Yep.
I see. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
But it's still, it's just one of those things where it's like, well, you know, there are much more clever ways of doing that.
Yes.
Same thing. You know, you can add that event to whatever the last item in this container is, rather than a specific item.
Yeah, the nth child or whatever it might be. Yeah.
So that's messy. But let's just hypothesize that we've successfully gotten to one of their restaurants. I did look at this in advance, and almost all of them use the same design. They all look like this. So, you know,
that's hard to read.
Yes, that is very hard to read. This is a classic problem of overlaying text on top of an image. And the simple fact is, images are complex. They have lots of different colors in them. It is very difficult to put text on top of an image like this and be able to read it reliably.
In many cases there, though, we are looking at white on white, and the shadow on the font is the only thing giving us hope.
And it just makes everything confused. And even with the shadow, like there's maybe technically a direct contrast between the immediate pixel, but there's so many other like interfering lines of similar colors that it just gets to be quite difficult to read. It's just extra
what's interesting there is that the picture isn't doing enough heavy lifting for me for it to justify not being a more grayed out, if you know what I
would agree. It is a somewhat average image.
Yeah.
So, you know, meh.
Yep. Yeah.
So
good.
Now navigating through this, so there is a focus state. It's not much, and not all links are included. So like you see this shop Momofuku goods, which has horrible contrast and also has no focus state because they presumably set up their focus states and then they did an override for shop Momofuku and didn't also add a focus state from that. So, and then these are just very subtle. The actual brand logo doesn't have a focus state. The menu works though. I can tab through this.
Okay.
So that's something.
Yeah.
So let's go and look at this menu.
Okay. Some kind of fade going on. Oh! I see text. Actual
menu. Text. Yes, this is the one that actually has a menu.
Oh, good for them.
Now, it has what look like, you know, headings and links and stuff like that. So maybe, you know, I can use those to navigate around and get through things. Now, what it doesn't have is a skip to content link. So I have to tab through the whole menu.
Whole menu. Oh, gosh.
And here I get to this. Okay, so there is these. I'm now in that sublist on the left, which unfortunately does not have any focus state. So I can't really tell where I am. But I can select something.
Oh, what just happened? Okay.
It just loaded a new page.
Okay.
So this is not anything dynamic. It's just jumping you to a new page that has that special thing. Fried chicken and caviar is what I went to. That sounds
wow. Okay. All right. That's
novel.
Yeah. No kidding.
So apparently this is not really a menu. It's actually just like a subsection, like a special menu that they do on special events or something. It's a particular meal, which costs $600 to serve 2 to 4 people. I might not book that anytime soon.
No.
But it's interesting. I'm going to go ahead and jump back to the main menu just so I can kind of look at that itself. Now, what I'd really want to do here is navigate it by headings because, each section here is clearly visible. It's like you've got appetizers, we've got noodles, we've got add-ons, we've got their address and location, we've got their hours. These all seem like they're nicely well broken out. If, however, I look at the headings, there are 2 H1 headings. One of them is the main site logo. The other one is the page header. There's nothing breaking it down. So it's just a read through the whole thing to figure it all out, which is disappointing. But at least it is available in text, like the information is present. Now, however,
Yeah.
because I did do a little advanced prep, I'm going to go and look at one of the other websites.
Oh, so that was that the good one? Oh.
Well, it's more that they're all a little bit different. So they all have the same basic idea, but they're all done slightly different.
Oh, they are.
So
Yeah.
this one, for example, does
Oh, that's
have
somebody's.
subheadings.
Yeah. Okay.
This one has a section for food and then beverages. Those are separate headings. For some reason, there's a heading that says menu changes daily that is hidden.
Okay. Okay.
And then this entire block of text is one heading. So it's a heading that says dinner Sunday, Wednesday, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., Thursday plus Friday plus
That
Saturday,
whole
5 p.m.
okay. That bit at the top.
All of that is one
Wow.
heading.
That's a nice
With
heading. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a little bit much.
It's to make it that size, right?
Oh, there's the menu changes daily thing. It's way up at the top. And the headings are out of order and they're not really consistent. So they exist, but they're not like super useful. But it's interesting that it just tells you that they do have a common frame, like they're using the same basic theme for all of these sites, but they have different content managers who are doing things in different ways. Like this one is really well set up for having headings.
Yeah,
for
they're all
breaking down the
right there.
sections.
Look at them.
They're just not doing it.
They're just not done.
Like it would be super helpful. And I would 100% show up to have the candied walnut lobster and shrimp. Because that sounds delicious.
It just begs the question, what interface are they using to construct that text? Like what, how is that being built within the WordPress site? It's so, look at that.
I'm going to say it's just like cut and paste from somewhere. Wow, that's creative.
It is,
it's got
isn't it?
paragraphs with non-breaking spaces inside it.
Wow.
Yeah. Ugly.
Okay. Yeah, there was an awful lot going on there. Because
okay, I recognize this code. This is using a page builder of some kind.
It is, isn't it? What MB? What would MB be?
Ooh, this is old. As soon as you
see,
it's got the
the IE7.
Oh, HTML tags, you're like, oh, okay, this is not a new website. So looking in the header.
Let's see if you can.
Yeah. So
Origin trial, that said as well.
That did say origin trial, and I'm kind of like, wait, does that mean you're not using the premium version?
Yep, maybe.
I kind of feel like a website.
Wasn't there something called Site Origin back in the day?
There was, yeah.
Yeah.
Custom theme. Oh, hey, they're using my plugin. Look, it's right there.
Really?
Yep, that's WP Accessibility.
You have an in. You have an in to modify this site. That's fascinating. That's at least somebody tried to give it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not sure that they have any problems present that it's really going to be able to do much about, unless, well, it would if they turned those options on, but they haven't, so it's irrelevant. So that's what I have to say about restaurants. I mean, the really telling thing is that, and this is a stereotype really about restaurant websites, that they're heavily focused on look and less focused on getting people the important communication that they need about the restaurant. And I think all of these sites kind of prove that out, that hasn't changed. Websites, they're glossy, glitzy, attractive, but if what you want to know is where you're going, when you should be there, and what you're going to eat, you've maybe got some work cut out for you.
What I think is really curious about this is I don't know the data. I'm just going to make things up here, but my expectation would be that people with the assistive technology needs, they would like to eat out just the same as everybody else. It'd be a nice thing to do. You'd save up the money. You'd go out and treat yourself.
Actually even argue that if assuming you have the resources to eat out, you actually
Delivery?
have more desire to eat out.
Interesting.
Because the mechanics of cooking, if you're blind, are kind of challenging.
Yeah.
How do you know that you've got something on the right temperature? How do you know? So many cooking instructions are things like, it's done when it turns a light yellow or something like that.
That's right. Yeah, that's a really good point.
There's a lot of visual cues that are really helpful. You can test whether a steak is done by pressure, by seeing like how much pressure do you put down on it, and that will give you a sense of how done it is. That said, when it's actively cooking and hot, that can be a little tricky to do. Color and all of that sort of thing are helpful cues. So cooking can be difficult.
So
it's not something you can't do. There are absolutely people who cook very heavily, cook a lot, and there are ways to get around that.
Yeah, where I was sort of going with that was that it does seem like every business is in a desperate struggle to maximize profit, and it does feel that if you put the effort in on the accessibility side, you are opening it up to, and again, I don't know the numbers. I'm sure they're more in your head than they are in mine, but this proportion of the buying public who would benefit from those kind of abilities within the website, to easily find the menu, to not have it as a PDF, to find the telephone number quickly, to be able to scan through a menu by using the tab key, and so on and so forth. You feel like you're leaving money on the table.
Well, I mean, I think that is kind of the fundamental thing for accessibility all the time, because it's not so much about looking at the numbers of how many people could you gain. It's what is the benefit to you of cutting some people out?
Yeah.
I mean,
right. Yeah.
Who are you helping by saying, well, there's a subset of the population that we are not going to allow use our website?
It's interesting as well. I had some intuitions when I was looking at that. Those websites, they kind of didn't really speak to me as me, because they looked in many cases to be incredibly expensive. When you said $600 for this, I'm wondering if it's more of a sort of shop window. It's not really there for anything other than,
that's true. Yeah.
Look how glamorous we are. Look how
now I'm going to actually look at one of these websites and see like what are the prices at.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's okay. Back to the screen quickly. Let's have a look. Let's see.
Because I think it isn't untrue that some websites, I mean some restaurants, they are truly only catering to very expensive markets, and that's just the way it is.
Oh, and look at that. That is a purely text-based document. It is literally one line followed by another line, followed by another line. It's not a lot, that one, is it?
It's also not particularly expensive.
That's what I mean.
This is the Austrian restaurant, so this is going to be in euros. But 20 euros for
whatever
baked trout.
Trout. Oh, that's great.
With hazelnuts and I don't know curcuma, but
some curcuma.
Sounds tasty and not an unusual, not an out of line price.
No.
Clear beef soup with frittaten and I think that's leeks.
Okay. I defer, but the point being, it's not outrageous, is it? And it does feel like the old adage of leaving money on the table in this particular case.
That seems very reasonable. Like this is a place where anybody would just casually go.
Yeah. So the conclusion that I've drawn from that is that from the 6 websites that we have seen, there's a lot of frustration there. There's a complete inability in many cases to get anywhere, and order anything and find out when things are open and what the menus are and how much they cost. And I mean, a complete dead end in most cases. Yeah.
In most of them, I'd be like, yeah, it's hypothetically possible for somebody to find that information. In all of those cases, there would be frustration and barriers. And in most of them, it would be enough that I would expect somebody to just give up.
Right. And that's the point, right? I think you're being very charitable. And you obviously have we're doing the show, we're recording it. And so you persevere and you persevere and you want to drill down. The reality is we talk about you've got 3 seconds or 1.8 seconds or whatever it may be in order to get somebody to stay on your website. What are we expecting here? Like 15 minutes to find the appropriate link, to find the menu, and then go through the whole process of, okay, I've got a PDF. Now what?
Right. And I think that's one of the really interesting things to always remember about like the process of doing accessibility testing, is that in doing accessibility testing, your goal is to find out the problems and find out the routes and find out how this works and how you can do it.
Yeah.
That is not the role of somebody who's coming to use your business.
No,
their goal is to decide whether or not they're going to shop from you. And they only need, 30 seconds of frustration, and they're like, nope, screw it. Whereas as a tester, like, okay, I spent 20 minutes figuring out how I can use this complicated widget. And I'm like, okay, if you do this and you use this key combination and you turn off this feature in your screen reader, now you can use this.
Right. I mean,
but so what? Nobody's going to.
No, I think that's really interesting. A really interesting observation. But also, curiously, an industry where style is paramount. That whole thing of we want this place to look utterly unique. We want to really show off the tiny portion which looks amazing in this fabulous. And in many cases, I feel that they've spent a lot of money on things like photography and graphic design and what have you. So we can see where the dollars have gone to put those sites together, and it's a lot of photography, basically, it felt like in those cases. But that's very frustrating. Okay, well, there we go. So there is episode 6 of our accessibility show. Who knows what we'll get to by episode 7. But one more time, just before we go, if you want to find out what Joe can offer, this is obviously something that he's an absolute expert in. You have seen it. Head to joedolson.com, JOEDOLSON.com to find out more. So, Joe, once more, thank you very much for joining me and showing us, well, in this case, how not to find menus.
Indeed, yes. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really glad to be doing this. It's just a lot of fun.
It is. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for doing it. Take care.
Take care.